In this chapter, Mitchell addresses several questions concerning the future of AI. It gives you a good opportunity to reflect on the course and what you now understand that maybe the average person reading about AI in the news doesn't understand. So you can sort of gather your thoughts in the course of this lecture. So we've talked a fair bit about self-driving cars. And at this point, you should know, if you didn't already, that the US government has defined 6 different levels of autonomy for cars, going from no autonomy at all, just an old-fashioned car where the driver does everything themselves, up to they go from 0 to 5. So number 5 is the car can do completely everything, and that's considered both hands off the car and eyes off the road. Now, we do not have those top 2 levels. We don't have that hands off, eyes off, and we don't even really have eyes off. The unsolved issues that remain for self-driving cars or autonomous vehicles in general are the long tail problems, of which there are many. These are also called edge cases. Common sense, that the self-driving car just doesn't have that. And adversarial attacks, which could cause something to go wrong in the decision-making or the functioning of the self-driving car. And what you should consider is a fully autonomous vehicle, particularly a car on city streets or even highways, is it even a good idea? Now, the next question or topic to consider about the future of AI is what's going to happen to human labor. How many jobs are going to be replaced, and what kind of jobs? And is this a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, if the jobs are dangerous to humans, like disarming a bomb, then that would be a great job to have a robot do instead of a human being. But some jobs might be really, really necessary for people's survival. And what if those are replaced by robots or artificial intelligence systems, right? There's also the possibility that AI is going to create new jobs. And we'll have to see what kind of new jobs might be coming down the road. Something we haven't really talked about is creativity. And that is, using AI to form creative projects of some kind. Now, we did early in the course, we talked about Emmy, which was this system that's actually quite old that was able to successfully compose new musical pieces that were in the style of certain classical composers like Beethoven and Mozart. But Mitchell asks us, can actual creativity exist without understanding? So we've concluded in the previous 2 lectures that computers still don't have understanding of the world, of the things they do, of the things that they can respond about. They don't understand them. So a computer program might be programmed to create visuals or audio, or even text, like with GPT-3. We see GPT-3 authoring new texts when it's given a prompt. But is this what we call creativity, right? And the illustration here comes from an artist who Mitchell referred to in her final chapter. And this particular illustration shows people. The 2 shadowy forms are real people in a room where the lights around them and the things on screens react to their movements. And if you watch the video, it's really quite beautiful, but it's happening because there are algorithms that were programmed by a human named Karl Sims, and that's what's causing these colors and patterns to change and emerge. So Mitchell expresses her opinion about this very distinctly, and she says that she feels that not only is understanding necessary for actual creativity to occur, but also appreciation. So, for example, if somebody wants to be a writer, but they've never really read any good writing, then they've got no experience of appreciating great writing. So how can they become even a good writer themselves, right? So Mitchell says appreciation as well as understanding are essential to true creativity. Now, we've looked at the question of artificial general intelligence many times. And to remind you, this is not super intelligence. This is intelligence at a human level, like a machine would be as intelligent as, an average human. And what this means is the machine would have common sense and be able to react to all kinds of unforeseen circumstances and so forth. So the question that we ask is, will this ever happen? And of course, there are some people who say, oh, yes, absolutely, it will. But the thing that we've seen in this course is that this question, will a computer system equal humans in its intelligence? It comes up again and again. And there are always people in the AI community who will say, soon, it's coming soon. But people have been saying that for over 50 years already, and it's still not here. And there are many more people who are saying, it is far away, right? It is far off. So when you read media reports, or if you happen to be reporting on these topics yourself, keep in mind that this question, it's not really a valid question right now. Like, there are much more important things to talk about when we talk about AI, rather than will computers ever be as intelligent as we are? That is not really the key question about AI. And finally, in this short list of questions, but important ones, right, we look at the idea of fear of AI, people being afraid of what AI will do to us, to our world, right? Not only robots, although that's always a good picture or image, but just the idea of these black box systems running things and making decisions for us, for companies, for the military, for our governments. Now, most people, when they express a fear about AI, they're thinking about killer robots or Skynet or something like that. But these are not the things that AI researchers are worried about. So there are things that professionals in this field do worry about, but it's not a takeover by intelligent robots or even programs, right? The things they worry about are the potential for misuse of AI, right? How it could be used to oppress people or just in some way, damage or, disadvantage people. The bad effects that come, we've studied this about how biases within the data are then reflected in the finished system, and they end up denying people loans or sending them to jail or denying them bail and things like that. So biases baked into the data then come out in the system, and this is something that needs to be guarded against, right? And these systems are vulnerable to attacks. So if, for example, you had a military system that was supposed to, in some way, protect us, say from, some kind of military attack, right? But if an adversarial attack were launched against the AI system, then the AI system might behave in an erratic or incorrect way, and disaster could result. So when we talk about what is there to be afraid of, there are very real things that, your average person doesn't even know about AI, but you now know about some of these things. Now, I really love this quote because every day in the media, I see reports about some sector of industry or government announcing new plans to adopt AI, systems. This is everywhere, right? We're going to build AI, we're going to bring in more AI, we're going to implement AI, and on and on and on, for all kinds of purposes. And I see these reports and I think, really? You're going to trust an AI system to do that? So one thing that I hope that you will take away from this course is that AI often surprises us. And it surprises us when an adversarial attack causes very strange results. It surprises us when an AI system recommends some kind of horribly unequal treatment for people in banking, in housing, in policing, in employment. AI surprises us when it generates crazy text when we give it an image and say, write a caption about this. And you saw this, there was one exercise we did where the AI seemed to see a surfboard in every photograph you showed it. Not everyone, but many of them. And there was nothing like a surfboard. One time it was a fish. You remember the example of the fish fingers, where an AI system could identify a particular kind of fish, but it wasn't looking for the shape of the fish. It was looking for the hands of a person holding the fish that they'd caught. So AI surprises us when it makes unexpected responses or answers or decisions, but we don't always know that they are incorrect. And, why do these things happen? That's why I like this quote, right? It's not the machine intelligence that we should be worried about. It's the machine's stupidity. Basically, they surprise us because they do a lot of things that no human would ever do in the same circumstances. And that's what you should keep in mind, what you've learned. They don't think like us. They actually don't think at all. So this is the final lecture of the course, and I hope you feel that you have a better understanding now of today's AI systems, how they're developed, how they work, what they can do, and what they can't do.